This is the Baby Mothers podcast, and I'm your host, Shells, and we are in for another episode. This week, we are joined by a guest called Karita.
Hi.
Hi, Karita. Thanks for joining us.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. You?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. All right, so we'll jump into your story. So, as I understand it, you are a mum of two.
Yeah.
Yeah, two small children under 5.
Yeah.
Okay. How's that going?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I've got a dinosaur professor.
Okay.
And I've got a 30-year-old, 3-year-old.
That hits home a little bit with me. I understand that. I've got a 17-year-old, going on 25. And so are you raising them on your own at the moment?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And is there any input from their dad?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. And how long's that been like that for?
That's been just a little bit over a year now.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I had to go back to the beginning first.
Yeah.
So you'd understand a little bit. But basically, when I was younger, I kind of was a bit bad. Not bad, but like I didn't have the same, like a normal upbringing, basically. I did. Mm-hmm. My parents were like quite well off. They were comfortable, but I kind of felt like stuck at home. So I kind of left searching for my own freedom.
Okay.
Left home at about 15, 16.
All right.
I had some friends that may not have been the best influences.
Yeah.
And along the way, I met my kid's dad.
Okay. Well, from when you was like young, 15?
I was about 16. When
Oh,
I met
right.
him.
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously at first, when I met him, it was like I'd been through a lot already, like not being at home. I was kind of sofa surfing. I was on the street a lot.
Okay.
So where I'd met him young, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, I've met this older guy and he really cares about me, and I kind of fell in love with him.
And when you say older, how much older was he?
So he was about 8 years older than me.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I was 16, he was 24 at the time.
Okay, some might say, what was he doing with with a 16-year-old?
I mean, I did ask him whether this was okay, whether it was normal, and he told me that he would want to be with someone that he could grow with. So in my mind, I took it as, well, if I'm young and he's saying he wants to grow with me, it means he wants to get to know me properly so we grow together.
Okay.
At the time, I didn't understand that I was actually being groomed.
Yeah, okay.
So
I think because I think about back in the day, like a 16-year-old, would get with an older man and wouldn't think nothing of it because they're the young ones and they think like, oh, God, this is great. And, he might have a car or money, that's all nice. But that's not the issue, I would say. The issue is on their part, because why would they want to be with a younger person? And like you said, it's obviously for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to like put too much blame on him, because sometimes I feel like when your upbringing is not how it should be, should I say, you may not like have the right thinking of how to do things. So for example, if you're not taught that this is what you should do and this is how you should be, then you're not going to do the right thing.
Yeah, so, you're not going to recognise what's going on, or if something's meant to be like that or not like that. Yeah. So when you did get with him at that age, how was the relationship?
I mean, so at the time I was homeless.
Okay.
Like I said, I was sofa surfing, staying at people's houses, and when I met him, kind of felt like I didn't have to go through that anymore, because it was just me and him. Even if like I went somewhere else, I'd always meet up with him at the end of the night, but it wasn't great. There were times where like we would sleep in his car together.
Oh, right, so he didn't necessarily always have somewhere to live?
No.
Oh, right, okay, because I was thinking you got somewhere to live when you got with him at Game Stable, so okay. So
it was the same situation, both of us together.
Okay.
There was times like I didn't know, but obviously he was into a certain lifestyle that I wasn't really clued up about, I should say. Even though I'd been around certain people, it was different to me, and he wouldn't tell me certain things. So there'll be times we're in the car, and next thing you know, police is chasing us. He's jumping out of car, putting things here and there and whatever, and I'm kind of like, what is going on, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So at times it was quite scary.
Yeah.
But I think I always felt like I couldn't show weakness around him, because that's what he wanted. He wanted someone strong, and do you get what I mean?
So he was trying to live up to that.
Yeah.
You felt that you had to.
Yeah.
Suddenly you was this ride or die chick, was you, at 16. How long did you guys stay together for? So
we were together for, I'd say, about 3 years.
Okay, so about 3 years you was going through that. And did you guys move into somewhere and it become more stable? It was always kind of like that?
Eventually, I moved into a hostel.
Okay.
I was living in a hostel at the time. Because of my age, I wasn't allowed any visitors.
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z. So I would go and stay with him. He had then got somewhere to stay. And I'd go and stay with him for like weeks on end. So just after my 17th birthday, I found out I was pregnant.
Oh, right, okay.
And I thought, yay, I'm going to have a family, you know. I'm going to give my child everything that they didn't have. They've got mum and dad, and he seemed really supportive at the time. Unfortunately, I lost the baby.
Okay.
But it was weird. I was young, so I didn't really understand like miscarriages and things.
Yeah.
And the baby didn't pass, so I had to have an operation.
Okay.
Around that time, that's kind of when you'd say all the drama kind of started. People calling me, telling me he was cheating on me, this and that. And then that's when like sexual abuse was introduced.
Okay. When you say introduced, what do you mean?
So towards getting closer to my operation, obviously there was a period of time where like after the operation I wouldn't be able to have sex.
Yeah.
But I'd been told by someone that he was sleeping with another girl. And I asked him about it, and he told me the truth. He told me that he did cheat on me with this girl. And, yeah, I was shocked. I was, like, really upset.
Mm-hmm.
And...
but you stayed with him?
I stayed with him.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, me being me and being upset, I wanted to find out from the girl. Like, I just wanted to hear her side of the story. So because we had mutual friends, I got her number, I spoke to her, and once I'd spoken to her, I went back to his house to speak to him. And I kid you not, I think I was about to leave the house to go to a shop or something. He had just given me money. She had called his phone to tell him that I've called her and asked her questions. So he was annoyed, he was angry. It was like, why didn't you just believe me? X, Y, and Z. It wasn't about believing anybody. I just was confused. Obviously, being 17, I've just lost a baby, finding out all this information. It was just weird. So I left, I went to the shop, came back, it was arguments, and then later on it calmed down. So I consented to having sex with him. And then later on, like in between, he basically anally raped me.
So he wanted to have sex with you, and did you say I don't?
No, I consented to the sex.
Yeah.
It was the anal part that I had no idea about.
So did he just let's clarify. Was it during sex did he switch it up to that?
Yeah.
Without asking you?
Without asking.
Without saying.
There was no.
Like so it was a shock.
It was a shock.
And how did you react to that? Because I'm going to assume that may have happened to a few women in their lifetime, that, you know, some men don't always say what they're about to do.
Yeah.
So how did you react to that? Did you say anything?
I screamed. I literally went flying. I flew off the bed. My head hit a table. I ran to the bathroom. I was bleeding. It was like...
And how did he react to that then, to what's happening? Like,
I think he was probably just as shocked, but I don't think I had time to take in his emotions. Mm-hmm. I locked myself in the bathroom. I think I wouldn't come out for a little bit.
Okay.
And then, because it was quite late.
But I mean, I'm just thinking, surely he should have been like, I'm sorry, you know, I didn't realise it was going to go like that. Like, I'm just saying, because come on, like, when you're having sex with someone, that is, you know, you don't always know what the other person's comfortable with. But I would expect that if a man did anything that I wasn't comfortable with, and then I showed I'm not comfortable with, he should be like, sorry. No. Because like I said, there's a difference between forcing you and doing something and then you're not comfortable with it. Yeah, do you see what I mean? So how do you think he saw that on his part?
His response was, you're over-exaggerating.
Okay.
You're not bleeding. There's nothing wrong with you. Like, it was kind of what you called, like, victim blaming.
Yeah.
In a sense. Like,
okay.
You're exaggerating, you're being a drama queen kind of thing. And I think I cried the whole night.
Okay. So it was a big deal for you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Especially him knowing that where I'd been homeless and been on my own, I'd been in certain situations that he knew about, that I'd told him about.
Yeah.
So for you to repeat the same thing, it was kind of like, wow.
Yeah.
So I think the next day he left the house, he went out, and I called a friend of mine to come and pick me up. But then I realised that the door was locked.
You were locked in?
I was locked in the house.
Had that ever happened before?
No, it was a shared accommodation kind of thing. So
okay.
I don't know whether he locked the door or somebody else locked the door or what it was, but the door was locked. At one point, I considered jumping out of a window. It wouldn't have worked because where I would have landed wouldn't have helped.
Would have hurt yourself.
Yeah, I would have hurt myself a lot. And then...
But what was going through your head at the time? Was you thinking like, oh, I just want to go out, but I'm locked in? Or did you feel like...
I wanted to leave
I'm
the house.
Trapped in like now and I need to get out?
I needed to get out because my friend, she travelled a distance to get to me. And she wasn't actually my friend, I should say. She was my neighbour at the hostel.
And she hasn't come to just pick you up because you're just going out. You've called her because of what's happened last night.
If it wasn't for that.
And you want to leave this you want to get out of this situation.
Yeah,
okay.
basically.
So how did you get out of the situation?
So I had to wait for him to come. He opened the door. He obviously realised my friend was outside. I got in the car and he was kind of like pissed off that I was leaving. Later on, when I'd got home, and then it was, I'm sorry, and I shouldn't have, it wasn't like that. I didn't mean for you to feel like that, X, Y, and Z, and obviously it carried on.
Did he ever do that again during sex?
Not that, but he has forced himself on me.
Yeah?
Yeah, many times.
Many times?
Many times.
Did it become habit?
It got to the point where I felt like if I didn't give him what he wanted, then he was going to be off with me. He was going to be annoyed. He wouldn't give me money for the kids, or he wouldn't look after the kids.
It's becoming controlling. Yeah. So I'm guessing he's not having to maybe physically, violently force you to do it, but it's in your mind mentally that you have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And it got to the point, once I'd had my kids, it got to the point where I felt like, kind of like I'm just a blow-up doll. Like I'm just here to carry your children, have them, and then you just do what you want with me.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, you're going and doing things with other people. So... And
can I just ask, would you say the relationship, or you guys would you guys not necessarily be getting on, but yet he still wants to have sex?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite clear, we shouldn't really be having sex tonight because we're not talking, we're not friends. You know what I mean? It's not a friendly environment.
But he'd be friendly towards me when it came to that.
Okay.
And that then became, it's like at times it would confuse me, and I would think that, okay, well, if that fixes it, then maybe just give him what he wants and just end the problem.
Yeah. So how did your relationship with sex become? Because I mean, you must not really be enjoying it.
At times I did, and at times I didn't, because it kind of became a crutch, if that makes sense. If this is going to happen, you might as well enjoy it. You might as well just... Yeah.
It's not... Yeah. It's confusing. It's conflicting. I think for especially someone who's not been in that situation before, then they might not understand, because they might just think, well, if I don't want to have sex, I won't have sex. But it's not as easy as that. Yeah. So what age did you get pregnant with your son?
So I got pregnant with my son when I was about 20.
20. And was you with the dad the whole way through that time, or did you guys break up?
So the situation was a little bit more complicated than that. When I originally broke up with him, it was because he was cheating on me.
Okay.
I later on found out that he basically got with the person that he was cheating on me with, ended up living with her. Okay. We always kept in contact. He was always friendly, always there to give me a helping hand.
And was you okay with that? So when you guys broke up, you didn't hate him, or was you happy to be cool?
I think I felt kind of soul tied to him because of the fact that I lost the baby and the way it happened, and obviously being young and it being your first child, it was kind of
okay. But now he's with someone else and he's living with them. Yeah. But you don't know that, or you know that now?
I knew that, which was my mistake, which I can admit. It was kind of I'd been in a whole different relationship, ended that relationship, and then he'd contacted me because, like I said, we'd keep in contact, and I'd just recently moved, and it was like, oh, I'm coming to see you. So I just thought it was innocent coming to see you kind of thing, and obviously it led to where it didn't need to lead to. And
as in what? You was intimate?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so...
And was that the start? Was that did you want to get back with him at the time? Like when you know, was that like?
I don't think I wanted to get back in a relationship with him. It was just something that happened, and it was just like, I'm just that's it.
Yeah. And so did that become the start of like regularly seeing him?
No, I saw him twice. And then I found out I was pregnant.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So you're not actually with him?
No.
And you've only seen him a couple times?
Yeah.
But you're pregnant?
Yeah.
Okay. But you're pregnant for someone who you was in a relationship with a long time ago. So it's a little bit, it's not like it's
different.
a new... Yeah.
And
okay.
I think for me, it was a bit too coincidental that I'd lost my baby 3 years before that. So when I found out I was pregnant, it was like, I can't...
Bit of a sign, bit of fate, like... Because you wasn't pregnant any other time and now you got pregnant again for the same person.
Yeah.
After. So, okay. So you definitely wanted to have the baby.
Yeah.
And how did he react to the news?
He told me that he was happy that I was the first person having his child and blah, blah, blah. And like, it was confusing. It was like 1 minute he was happy, the next minute he was annoyed. And that's when the control started. He wanted to be in control of the name of the baby and what the baby does and what the baby, like, it was just like, you can't expect me to just hand you full control over everything, because at the end of the day, I'm the one that's carrying the child for the 9 months. We're not together. You're not, like, he would make me promises like, oh, I'm going to leave her, X, Y, and Z. And I said to him, I don't need you to do that. I just need to know that we are going to be parents. I don't need to be in a relationship with you, but I need us to parent our child. That's it.
So did he stay with his girlfriend for quite some time?
It was really confusing because from what I knew, he lived with her.
Okay.
But then he would turn up at my house, and there was times where I'd had to like throw his clothes out, like get out of my house, or like he would want to try and come and sleep in my bed, and I would refuse because I said point blank, I'm not going to be sleeping with you, and you're going home and sleeping with her. I think that's just so wrong.
And did you ever get any problems from her? Did she ever?
I said to him, you need to tell her, you need to be honest, because as a woman, I would want to know the truth.
So did she know that he was having a baby with you?
I don't know when she knew.
Okay.
I don't know the timeline of things. Later on, there was a little something, but yeah, it was mainly to do with him.
Okay.
And obviously, like, I'm Ghanaian, so in our culture, it's like, usually when people get pregnant, it's like, oh, you've got to get engaged, blah, blah, blah. And a family member of mine had suggested it, and I was just like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this fake marriage thing. I'm not. And he was like, yeah, I'll do it if that makes your family happy. And I was kind of like, no, like, we're not doing that. Because if you're going to be serious and you're going to leave the situation that you're in and then you want to take it seriously and you want to be a family, then fair enough. But I'm not going to lie to myself and lie to everyone else just because
it's the right, it's
it
to be
looks
seen
good.
to be the right thing.
You know.
So when you had your son, did his behaviour change at all, or was it still the same, or how was it him being a dad and you being a mum? How was that parenting going?
So in the beginning, it was just me. I was at my mum's house for a while. He would come to my mum's house, and I was moving, so I was moving into a flat. So where my mum lived, he would pick me up, take me to the flat. And then when my mum would have finished work, she would pick me up and take me home, because I would have to like wait for deliveries or like little things here and there. But it's like, I didn't really see him as a dad. I knew what my role was. I knew myself being a mum and waking up and doing night feeds and everything. But it was kind of like, you're just a visitor.
Yeah.
And I would ask him to do certain things. I'd ask him to give the bottle or to change him. And it was like, no, you do.
Because when he comes round, he just probably sits down, similar to just when there was no baby and he was just chilling.
Yeah.
And then it's like you said, what are you actually doing?
Careful. Yeah.
Okay.
So it would be like...
Was he contributing financially? Did he think that was his part? Because I'm just thinking, because he is 8 years older than you, so like he should be older, he should have a job. Like, is he giving you any money?
So right at the beginning, I said to him, just give me £25 a week, £100 a month. That's all.
That's it.
That's all. He said, no, I'm going to buy the nappies, I'll buy the milk, I'll buy the wipes, but I'm not giving you money.
Oh, right, okay. One of those. So he wasn't willing to give you any cash. Why was that, though? That's like him saying that he doesn't trust you, as if you've done something to show that you're not trustworthy. Do you see what I'm saying?
I was never... Like,
Yeah.
he never gave me cash. It wasn't something.
And who's got time to be ringing someone every time? Like, do you know how many times you've run out of nappies, like, randomly, quickly, or, like, run out of milk? Like, who's got time to ring and be like, just so you know, I need more nappies? Like,
sometimes I would have to say, the milk has run out, your son needs milk.
Yeah.
Just so I would get the milk on time.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you don't want it to run out.
Of course, because you don't want it to run out. That doesn't make no sense.
Yeah.
So did he do that for a little while? Like, but did he do that then? Was he buying the things?
He did buy the things, but it's like, there will be times where I might need something and he will take hours or
to bring it.
Yeah, or he'd purposely come at night.
To stay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then later on down the line, when my son was about 6-7 months old, found out that his previous partner, the person that he was living with, because once I'd had the baby, she kicked him out.
Okay.
And that's when I got a phone call, and I think I got a phone call and he was asking me, is there anything going on between me and you? I was like, listen.
He was doing that phone call where you're supposed to say down the phone, oh, yeah, like, nah, there's nothing going on. The proper side chick behaviour.
Yeah. And I was just like, listen, I already told you from the beginning, you better tell your girl, because I don't want this kind of drama. I just want to look after
And you don't want to hide a baby.
Exactly.
Like, I'm not hiding a baby.
Exactly. So when I got the phone call, it's kind of like, obviously, I know why the phone call is coming. I know who it's come from. Mm-hmm. So I thought, let me reach out and send a message, because if you want to talk, let's talk. I don't have no problem with you. The problem is with the person, not, do you get what I mean? And I don't want, being a female, I just wouldn't want her to feel like it's, I think girls have this whole, like, she's trying to take my man, and it's not that.
Well, she'll have no idea of how really the time frame went, or that you only met a couple of times and then you've got she might not know that. She might just be thinking you've been there on the side for however long, and you know what I mean, like you said, you're trying to start a family. So did you guys speak at all?
I think we spoke through, like, Instagram message. It was like,
how did it go? Was she hostile? I mean, understandably,
yeah,
she could be, because she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on in your head, or what's really happened. Like, and imagine, like, you know how men are. She's only going to be hearing what he's telling her.
Yeah, I think
which is going to be all on you.
Also, was that she just didn't want any involvement. It's like, okay, it's happened, and I know the truth, but, like, that's your business. It's kind of what I got from her.
Yeah, okay.
Which I think is fair.
Did she stay with him?
So, as far as I knew, he was sending me pictures of his black bags in his car, and she's kicked him out, and he's telling me that now he needs to come and stay with me, and there was a whole big argument because I wouldn't give him a key to my flat and all of this stuff, and it was kind of like, you're not gonna, you had a choice, and you chose to stay, and now it's messed up. You're expecting me to pick it up.
Yeah, he was just going to move from one to the next, like instant new relationship.
So I said, if you want to try and be a family, we can do that, but you're not going to move in with me, and you're not going to have a key to my house, because I'm not doing that. Yeah. So we did get back together, maybe when my son was about 4 or 5 months old. Okay. Like I said, when my son was about 6 months old, I found out that he'd got the ex pregnant. Oh, right, okay. Yeah. Okay, so now he's having a baby with the ex, but she already knows about you by this time. Yeah. And knows you're having a child. But I've had the child. Yeah, you've had a child, but she's willing to have a child with him now. Yeah. So you said she didn't want to be part of the situation, but she obviously did, because you just walked in to this situation to which now you are stuck in. Because if you'd left when you didn't have a baby, you would have been out of it. Yeah. But now you've got to be in it, because now he's your baby father as well. Yeah. So now, all right. And how did that affect your relationship now that he's having a child with someone else? So, in the beginning, like, because he had got back with me and he was doing all of this family, trying to be, and at that time, yeah, he was trying to be helpful. He would stay, he would do some night feeds. It was still difficult, but you could see he was trying. So at that point, it was like, really? It's very early on though, like you said, like if your son's only 6-7 months, that's very early on in obviously the parenting stage, because you're still learning. You haven't really learnt much yet. All you know is a baby that sleeps and needs feeding. Yeah. You don't, you know what I mean? Like now, like when the years go on and you're actually doing that's very early on to have this happening. Yeah. So I actually begged him, just give me some time. Just give me until my son is 1. Leave us alone. Let me heal. He said, no, I want to be with you, I want to be a family, I want to take you guys on holiday, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I didn't believe him, so I called her.
Okay.
And she said, yeah, it's true, I'm pregnant, I don't want anything to do with him, I'm just going to be a single mum and do it on my own. And I was like, well, okay. So we stayed together. I think shortly after her daughter was born, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember where you were, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he has a baby with someone else, and then shortly after you find out you're pregnant again.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that go down? Are you pleased about it now then?
No.
You're not pleased about the second pregnancy?
If I'm honest with you, like, I just thought, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And already, I already had a rocky relationship with my parents because, like I said, I left home really young. And my dad disowned me.
When?
When I found out I was pregnant with my daughter.
Oh, really? Why? What's changed? Why can't you be pregnant now?
Because it's like, well, you know he's had a child with someone else. Why would you even do that again?
Okay.
So he was just disappointed.
Yeah.
But it's not the first time my dad's disowned me, so it's not anything.
Okay, he just throws it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, on his behalf, it might be a fair point, because there might be people watching this show that might say, why did you get pregnant again? But like you said, you don't actually plan that. But they might have said, why did you stay with him? Mm-hmm. Why was you in this entanglement that is going on? So what would you say to that?
I stayed with him simply for the fact that I grew up without my dad. I didn't even know my mum when I was a child. I lived in Ghana from the ages of 2 till 6. All I knew of my mum was a picture, and because she was quite fair-skinned, I thought she was white. Right. I thought this pretty white woman in a wedding dress, and that's what I knew of my mum. I knew my dad because he would come to the country every so often and bring me loads of like presents and Smarties and all these things that you didn't have whilst you were there. So I was kind of treated like the golden child there because I was from here and because I was my grandmother's only grandchild. Okay. So when I came back, obviously, once you're stripped from your parents at the age of 2, you don't really know them and they don't know you. And I didn't grow up with like a comfortable relationship with both of my parents. It's like I was always seeking the love from my parents. And I just didn't want my child to have to go through that and feel like I've only got my mum, or I just wanted my kid to have both of their parents.
And I think, like what you said earlier on, if you're not taught how to do something or shown how to do something, then how would you know? And from what you're saying, if you never lived with your parents from an early age and they weren't showing you what a mum should be and what a dad should be, then how can you then be, sofa surfing at 16, meet an older man, now, whether you're 20 and you're in a relationship and you're having a child, how are you supposed to really know what a relationship should be like and what a parenting relationship should be like what a mother should be like?
And what a father should be
like? Do you see what I mean? Like that.
Well, all I knew is that I just didn't want what I had. Don't get me wrong, I love my parents to pieces and I was a daddy's girl to the core. But I just didn't want my child to be searching for that love from their dad.
I think that's understandable. I think a lot of people want to do it differently to the way they had. And like you said, not saying that what they had was awful, but it's very easy to look back and reflect and say, I see the bits that were wrong and I don't want that for myself. Yeah. But from what I'm hearing, that's the situation you're in doesn't sound anywhere near ideal.
No. I feel like because of me wanting to change the situation so bad, and in my mind when I think about it now, I feel like we were both in a situation that we wanted to make it work, but obviously men and women are different. So a man will react differently to how a female will react, whereas I want it to work, so I'm going to put my all in it. He's got how many ever other females that he can run to, so it's kind of like I don't have to. Yeah. I don't have to.
If it gets too hard, I'll just do it. Plus, he's also got another commitment because he has a child somewhere else. Yeah. So he's like I said, all your commitment is here in this one place, and his is somewhere else. So, but obviously, you do get pregnant with your daughter, and obviously, you go ahead with that. Does the relationship get any better?
It was different.
Well,
I wouldn't say better, it was just different. So he was there. We would do things together with my son, X, Y, and Z. He would stay around a lot. There was times where it was really nice. There was times where it was really bad. It's like, you know, the times where they disappear and you can't get through to the phone. You're thinking, where are they? What's going on? It was only later on, like maybe 6 months after I'd had my daughter, then I then realised what was happening. Because I was always
what was happening
to feel like he was with someone else.
Someone completely new?
Completely new.
So, okay, this I'm saying, men get busy now. They're busy now. Because now he's got 2 kids with you, a kid with someone else, but he also would like to be with a new... Like, you can't physically be everywhere. Like, in the one place.
And
like,
the most sickening part of it was you've introduced me to the person. You've taken me to the person's child's christening or whatever it is.
Right, okay.
The person knew me.
Okay.
And it was like, you've been around my kid, 6 months after having my daughter, I find out that she's pregnant. She's contacted me. She's pregnant with twins. And all of this.
Okay, so he's about to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids.
Yeah.
Because he's about to get twins now.
Yeah.
I see, okay.
But besides that, like during my whole pregnancy, it was kind of like I was always made to feel like you're not good enough. There's something that you're not doing right, or like...
Well, that is in you're not fulfilling him.
Yeah.
Like, that's why he has to go elsewhere, because you're not doing the...
Even though I've already kind of like succumbed myself to the fact that if I don't do what you want from me, you're going to treat me a certain way. Bearing in mind, all this time that we were together and having my daughter and everything, I still was doing everything by myself. There was no cash monies being provided. There was no, like, it's as and when he felt like it.
Why? So you mentioned that you wanted to keep your family together and you wanted your kids to have their dad. Did love come into it at all? Did you feel that you was in love with him during this whole period as well?
I felt like I was in love with him, but then there was times where I knew I didn't. Like, it can't be possible because. But then again, sometimes I feel like I did get bad advice from other people.
Okay.
For example, like my mum would tell me, you should stay with him. Like regardless of what he's doing, you should stay with him. Your kids will have a dad, X, Y, and Z. So at the time I felt like if I end it, 1, he's going to be more difficult. 2, it's like I'm going to be on my own. I felt like I had no choice to be with him for whatever he provided, whatever he did for the kids. Mm-hmm. It's like that was secure. That you knew what you had. This is what you have. Yeah. It might not be great, but this is what you have. Yeah.
And you want to. I mean, it surprises me in the sense of, because I've never felt like that. Like I don't know where I get that from. I don't know. Like my mum's white English. I don't know if that's her the way she was brought up. But I've never got the feeling that you have to be with someone. Like I'm just like, no, I'll go. But I do listen to a lot of people say that they get advice from family members and stuff like that, who say you must stay with someone when it's not good. I don't see how that can be good.
At one point, his mum told me to stay.
That's I just don't get. I don't know what they're afraid of. Like what do they think is going to be worse? Because if for me, I'm like, well, no. If you break up with him, you can do it on your own. Women tend to come out strong and independent, and you will raise your kids well, and everything will be good. So I'm just not sure what these maybe older generation people are afraid of happening. Do you see what I mean? Because I don't ever feel. I'm not really sure I've heard a story where the woman leaves a bad relationship and then it gets worse for her. I'm not really sure that's how it works out.
Don't get me wrong, it's not easy, but it definitely gets better.
It gets better.
Because I feel like the longer I stayed in it, the worse it was getting. I started to get depressed. I started to lose weight. I think when I had my daughter, I must have been about 14, 16. I went down to a size 6.
Right, okay.
This was like beginning of last year, to the point where my friends were like, you look ill. And I was like, I've lost my weight. Like, let me enjoy it. Like, what are you talking about?
You thought it was a good thing?
Yeah, I felt like it was a good thing. It was only until a year later, a friend of mine had said to me, like, no, you really did not look well. But obviously, she didn't know what was really happening within the household. It got to the point where I wouldn't really go out unless I was going to do stuff just with my kids. And that was like, kind of like to get out of the house. But at one stage, basically, he started staying with me. And when he started living with me, that's when it got worse.
Okay. And how did it get worse?
So in terms of like, there was a lot of control. It was like...
So when you say he wasn't going out, was that because he didn't want you to go out?
He wouldn't let me go out.
He wouldn't let you go.
look after the kids. So he wouldn't specifically say you can't go out, but it's like, I'm not looking after the kids for you to go out. I'm not.
Which is meant to be the norm. Like, we discuss, I'm going to go, you're going to babysit. But he's saying, no, that's not going to happen. So
we would go through like this back and forth. And then at one point I started a balloon decor business. Doing like organic balloon garlands and things like that, and just event decorating, just to like make some extra money because I needed it at the time. And he would make it really, really difficult. It would be my friend.
So even when it's work, you're doing that's work and a work event, but he would be like, no.
If he did look after the kids, he'd be on my phone. Where are you? Hurry up! I need to go. X, Y, and Z. Like, it was very, and with things like that, you can't rush.
Yeah.
So it was quite embarrassing at times where I'm getting these phone calls, being questioned. Where are you? How long are you gonna be? But you're with your children.
Did anyone ever say to you like, this is weird? You know, like,
so many times.
Did they? Like,
so many times. Once I'd got out of it, a friend of mine actually said to me, you don't understand, I prayed for you to get out of this. Like, she said, I'll go to bed, I'll pray for everyone, and I'll pay. But there was a specific prayer that she would pray to say, I need you to get out of this.
Okay. So when people were kind of saying to you that this is weird, or, you know, because this is not normal, because I'm like, you know, other girls go out and their man's not ringing them down. Did you start to think it's not normal, or did you just think, well, this is us?
No, because when he went out and he wouldn't return, I would call the phone, but the difference is he just wouldn't answer for the whole time.
Okay, so obviously that's why you're calling more, because you haven't answered, which starts to make you look like you're a crazy person because you keep ringing, but you're ringing because he hasn't answered.
Yes, it's called covert narcissism, where they switch it up on you and you start to look crazy. And
you start you start to replicate basically the behaviour that he's doing to you.
Yeah.
But you're doing it because that's what you've seen, and that's what you think is normal now in our relationship. We ring each other when we're out because that's what you've been doing.
Yeah.
But obviously, his was a whole... What made you get counselling? Like, what did you recognise you needed counselling for?
I was severely depressed.
Yeah?
Like, severe, and I just didn't want to go on medication. That was my
Did you go
fear.
to the hospital, like doctor, to seek help?
The doctors actually noticed it when I think my daughter was about 16 weeks old.
Okay, because you're having to see them.
Yeah.
And then they noticed, okay.
At the time, I think the doctor asked him to leave the room and asked me, is there any abuse going on at home? But because it wasn't physical, he's not beating me up every day, I didn't understand that's what it was.
Yeah, that's why I asked, why was you getting counselling? Because I would have thought that you might have thought you don't need any, because you might have just thought, this is my life, this is my normal situation. But you were getting counselling for how you personally were feeling, rather than not necessarily the relationship, but because of how it's affecting you.
It became about the relationship though, because that's when I started to realise what was going on. So it was a lot of like trauma to do with my family, and then it interlinked with the trauma to do with him because of what had happened in the past. So when I was going through counselling, I think that's the only time he would look after the kids.
So he was okay. So it was okay for you to go. I'm surprised he let you go.
He wasn't okay because that day,
because he might have been thinking, if she goes, she might be about to realise some stuff or get empowered or something. I would have thought he would have wanted you to go.
So that's when he would like start to beat me down about it. He'll turn up late. I would miss sessions. And then the one day I really got onto him and I said to him, listen, if you don't come, my counsellor is going to have to call social services. That was the threat, and that was why he came.
Okay.
He turned up and he basically said to me, no one asked you to have these kids anyway. And it hit me so bad because I felt like I'm stuck every day doing the same thing. You don't really help me out. My life is for my kids. My life is gone now. All I can do is try to do better for them. So for you to tell me who asked you to have them, I've literally given my life up for them, and they're yours as well. So you're telling me that you don't want them. They're here right in front of you and you're saying that to me. And I think I just lost it that day. I ended up feeling really, really suicidal that day. I went to my counsellor and I basically said to her, look, I need you to take me to somewhere safe. I think I had like a photo album of all my old pictures from when I was like a child in Ghana, because where I lived with my nan, and she had passed the year that I was pregnant with my daughter.
Okay.
So I just wanted to go and be with her, basically. And I begged my counsellor, please, can you find a safe space for me to go? I'm begging you, because if not, I'm going to Archway Bridge and I'm going to jump.
Oh, wow. So that's what you said to your counsellor?
That's what I said. I ended up going to A&E. I had to kind of like tell him that I got admitted, and I didn't, because I couldn't go back into the space.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. During that, at one point I think he left the house, left the door unlocked, took the kids with him and told me, your house is open, like you need to go home and lock your door. So when I got back, he was basically saying, I'm not bringing the kids home to you, they're not coming back. And I had to call the police and report them missing. But I couldn't report them missing because he had PR from being on the birth certificate.
Oh, right, okay.
So when that happened, I had to call his mum and say, you need to tell your son to return my children home. I'm not playing this game anymore. Like, I'm done with it. Yeah, I have gone to the hospital because this is what's going on. This is what has been happening with your son, X, Y, and Z. And somehow she spoke to him. My kids came back.
Okay. So what was the outcome of going to the hospital? What support did they put in place? Because you said you were suicidal, so that's why you've had to go there. Did they just let you leave? They just discharged you and let you go?
Unfortunately, they told me that it's either I choose to go on antidepressants or I don't. And they told me that you're a strong girl, you know exactly what you're doing. And I think that's the really upsetting part, that black women are told you are strong, you have to be strong. I don't like hearing the word strong anymore. Yeah, I am strong, but sometimes I don't want to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't
I still
feel
need
strong.
the help. So you basically asked them for help and they basically were like, you're fine, you've got this, you can deal with it. We'll give you some medication if you like, but you're all right.
Yeah.
So,
in other words.
and what, did they not call social services?
They referred me to something called First Help, so it's the step before social services.
Okay.
They weren't really too helpful.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking, like,
what is out there?
yeah, well, if a mum says that she's suicidal and she has 2 kids, I'm not sure why any public service would be thinking, okay, it's fine for the mum to just go home with her 2 kids.
I think it's because as much as I was suicidal, I wouldn't have actually gone to
Those
that
lengths.
step. Yeah.
But they don't know that.
It's the fact that I asked for help before I got there.
Yeah.
If I'd gone and attempted, then it would have been a different situation.
Maybe. But that's the whole point. You're trying to not get to that point, because if it gets to that point, it might be too late.
Yeah.
Or do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, okay, so the kids come back.
And then that's when I find out from my son that he'd been on FaceTime to his sister.
Oh, right, okay, so that's where he met his sister for the first time on FaceTime.
I don't actually know whether they met or didn't, but at that point I called the mum and I said, look, if you're happy for the kids to meet, I've been threatened so many times, it's none of my business and I have no involvement. Let it be through us 2 first, so that whatever issue you have with me, we can squash it, and then he can have them whenever he wants.
Okay.
That happened.
Did that go well?
It went quite well. They met each other. We'd spoken at length and basically found out that he was just going back and forth for the past 10 years. In and out.
Telling you both probably the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And how did he feel did he find out that you 2 met and did that?
She made sure she told him.
Okay.
That day I got cussed out on the side of the road. He wasn't even in the country, but I got a phone call. I got cussed differently. And then I think his daughter had like an accident. And really at that point I should have just said, all right, see you later, but your child's soiled. I'm not going to let you go home with a baby that's like, so come, I live down the road. Oh, okay. So let's go get her changed and then you can go home. Because I'm just not a horrible person. I don't...
Well, that's just normal.
Yeah.
It's normal. But what to him, what was that a problem? You brought her in your house. Like, what was the issue?
I don't know if he even knows that.
Okay.
But I think she wanted it to be known because a top that I had given for her to be changed, she gave it back to him to give it to me. So that's probably how he knew.
Oh, right, okay.
So anyway, later on, we ended up getting back together again.
Okay.
And then,
that's a bit mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a bit mad.
But then his daughter then started coming over, staying like over the weekends, X, Y, and Z.
Where are his twins, by the way? I thought he had twins. Where are they?
Oh.
They're not there?
They're not there. They disappeared.
They disappeared. Not they died? Well, you don't know. He said he was having twins and then he said he didn't have any twins.
He didn't say he was having twins. The girl told me she was having
twins. And then there was no twins.
Yeah, eventually.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I did try to ask her what's going on, XYZ. She said go and ask him. Later on, I found out that she'd had an abortion.
Okay. When are you actually going to break up with this guy?
I think it was after that's when I started to realise. And then it was little things like COVID started happening. We weren't on lockdown yet, but I wanted to start going to uni. I had an interview. He refused to take me to the interview because it was quite far. He told me, you don't need to go. You don't need...
Well, I can imagine for someone like that, from what you're describing, why would he want you to go to uni? Why would he want you to better yourself, do anything different? Like, that doesn't go in line with what he's trying to create.
He would say, obviously, that's what he wanted, but what he would do was
of course,
completely different.
yeah. Of course, yeah. He's got to say it. He's got to say, I back you, I support you, but not really follow through.
Yeah.
Okay.
So eventually, we were on lockdown. I think it was 2 days after my son's birthday. It was Mother's Day. And he went out, got drunk, came back, talking about how great of a mum I am. Don't worry about tomorrow, I'm going to do everything for you. In the end, he basically didn't. And I think that's when I realised, no, you know what? It's actually Mother's Day. Mm-hmm. I'm not dealing with this anymore. And my son asked him, why are you making my mummy cry again? So that's when I said, no, I'm not doing it. He left. He said, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not going to be made to feel guilty. And he left and went home. But before he went home, he went to Tesco's, which is across the road from my house, bought some flowers and a card and left it and then went home. After that, I said, you know what, I'm done. Went no contact, stopped talking to him completely. But he would still try and push and push and push.
So was it quite, not easy, but did he let that happen? Like, if you said, I don't want to be with him, did he kind of let that happen, or was he kind of keep pushing?
That's the reason why I stayed with him the whole time, because every time I would try to break up with him,
he made it difficult.
And then it would be, in the end, we would end up getting back together anyway.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So when he left, I just said, I'm done with it and I don't want to do this anymore. He came back asking for a laptop of mine because his activities are not exactly fully legal, and he was just badgering me for this laptop. And I just said, no, anything he could do to try and get in my space, he would. Eventually, I did let him in, and I still told him, I don't want to be with you. I don't want to do this anymore. And at the time, some money had come into my account because an account of his got closed, and they transferred it into my account.
So the money was his money, but it was in your account?
Yes.
Okay.
But I had given the details over like in January. So at this time, it's like April. I didn't think any money was going to come anyway. I didn't expect it. So then when the money came through, he said, keep it. I'm going to take you guys on holiday after COVID's over. I didn't say anything at first. I just left it. Then one day he came back saying that he wanted to make things work. And I said, no, I don't want to be with you. He said, okay, then give me my money back. Transfer it into this account right now. I said, you know your son's going to be starting school this year. He's going to need uniform, XYZ. You don't give me money for the kids anyway. I'm not giving it back to you. Sorry, but yeah. So because I refused to give it back, he attacked me.
So like physically?
Physically.
Was that the first time he'd actually physically attacked?
No, we fought many times.
Okay.
We fought many times. Sometimes there was times where like I would start it, he would start it. But it was really weird because like if we were in front of the kids, he might start it and then he'd act like he's not doing anything. But if we're in a different room, he'd happily throw me down and slap me and punch me and all of that.
It's really interesting that you just said we fought many times, as if it was a very what's the word, like equal thing. Like you said we fought like it's equal, like I hit him and he hits me, but it can't be equal. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, yes, a woman should not hit a man, you know, just like a man definitely shouldn't hit a woman, and a woman shouldn't hit a man. But it's just interesting the way you say we fought, as if it's just two people fighting.
It's because I've been made to feel like a lot of the things were my fault. Because when a person refuses to acknowledge what they do wrong, the minute you're physical, it's like you're the problem.
Yeah.
The minute you speak up and you try to defend yourself, you are the problem. So it was like, I still find it hard sometimes to like, I don't want to blame him. I still take responsibility for my part because I don't want to sit there and say like I was all innocent and perfect, because I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can accept from another person's point of view, it's like, well, he made you crazy. He made you do those things.
I mean, you are you've, like you said, you've grown with him since you were 16, and this is what you've grown into.
With,
like, this is what you've grown with. This is what and you have to undo that learned behavior. Like, this is what you've learned. Like, imagine, like, if you get into a next relationship now, well, what you know is this relationship that you've been in for a long time. Like,
I'd have to do it different. So
of course you would. That's what I'm saying. Of course you would, because like you just said now, we fought. But if you got with someone else and you hit them, I'm sure he'd be like, no, we don't do this. I'm not about to hit you back and we're fighting. Like, that's not normal. That's not normal.
Yeah. I asked him several times to leave. Told him, if you don't leave, I'm going to call the police. He didn't believe me and he carried on. So I did. I called the police. When the police came, they started asking me questions. And one of the questions was there a history of sexual abuse? A year previous to that, I knew about the law on coercive controlling behaviour. And I did call the police. Then I wanted to report it. But then I said, no, I'm not going to do this. I tried to call Women's Aid to get advice. I couldn't get through to them. So I ended up calling something called victim support. Victim support, it was a bit complicated and I was scared that like social services would get involved. So I kind of just like kept to myself and did whatever they wanted me to do just so I could get away from it. But then when I spoke to the police, I ended up having to do something called a visually recorded interview, a VRI. Went through this whole long process. There was a lot of things. There was times where, like, in my previous address, he had chased me around with like a taser gun and.
So, and had you called the police before?
No.
Oh, you'd never called the police?
Apart from the time a year before that. So it was around the time that I was first suicidal. That's when I'd called the police and I wanted to ask for advice because I was trying to contact Women's Aid. I was trying to contact all these like anonymous organisations just to
find out what's going on, where else can I get support, because that's what people always say, support's out there, but where is it? Who's the right people to call? And like you said, people will be afraid, like, whoever I call, does that mean social services get involved? Does that mean they're taking my kid? Like, yes, I want support to get out of this situation, but I don't want to lose my children. And or once social service get involved, then they stay involved. Do you know what I mean? Like, it can be that they can invade your privacy, so people will be hesitant. Same with the police, you'll be hesitant because once you call them, does that mean they're in? Does that mean they're in now and they're, you know what I mean? Like, you can't really take it back.
So social services did get involved. They did an assessment, and I kid you not, within 2 months of leaving him and being over with it, I was enrolled in uni. I'd started doing driving lessons. It was lockdown, but I was still doing more balloons than I ever did.
So things changed quite quickly. Like I said earlier on, that is how I view things. I always view that the woman is going to be okay after, because she's going to get her head straight and she's going to know what needs to be done, and she's going to be so motivated for her children that she's going to, like you said, I need to drive, I need to go, I need to better myself, blah blah. So I don't get why people say you should stay. That's crazy.
I don't know whether it's like a situation where their hands are tied and there's not much they can do, but through Solace Women's Aid, I was referred to something called the Freedom Programme. Freedom Programme was run by, I don't want to say her name, but a lady, a wonderful, wonderful woman. Like, I can't even explain to you. She spoke to me. So the Freedom Programme basically it teaches you about abuse. Okay. But it's a lot more to do with the emotional side of it, the coercive control and behaviour side of it. And it was like, hold on, everything you're teaching me.
This happened.
This happened. That happened. And met other ladies, because it was all on Zoom. Usually it would be in person in a group. It was all over Zoom, and
because this was going on through COVID. So this is really recent for you.
Yeah, very recent. And it was right at the beginning of COVID though. So and through doing the course, I met these women, and the facilitator, she's just amazing. Like, she would put together like picnics in the park. It's a choice. If you want to meet up, if you want to meet other women, then okay. But you're not actually allowed to see someone and be like, oh my gosh, you're from the group. No, we don't do that.
Keep it like a bit anonymous.
But it kind of became like a family of women who wanted to better themselves, and I don't know how to explain it. Like, our kids all know each other. And I feel like she went way above and beyond her job that she was supposed to. And I'm pretty sure, like, from my opinion, people knew what she was doing. I feel like they would try to shut it down, because I don't know, my theories are a bit different, but I feel like as much as we need help, they don't want to provide it as much as it should be
provided. Yeah. So does this group feel like it's quite a rare thing, quite a very lucky thing for you to be part of? Whereas you're kind of saying the impact it has, these groups should be all over the place.
Time.
Do you see?
Yeah, they should be everywhere.
Do you see what I mean?
Like, it was like I said, it was a choice. If you want to meet up, you can. If you don't, you don't have to. But
what do you think would have happened if you never joined this group?
I don't know. I can't tell you. Mm-hmm. When I joined the group, I was at a really low point. Mm-hmm. I had this VRI. This investigation was going on. Yeah, I had Solace Women's Aid, but I was being I was being assessed by social services. All these little things, and it was just like, okay, it's a tick box kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You're just ticking boxes at the moment. But if I didn't meet the group, I don't think I'd feel as safe as I did. Like, there'll be times where I can see there's someone sitting at my flat and they've been sitting there for hours, and I can call one of the ladies and talk to them, and like, we shared a lot in common, or we'd get understanding from each other's situations.
Yeah.
Like I said, my situation wasn't necessarily violent all the time, but there were other ladies who went through worse situations, and not to say that anybody's is better or anybody's is worse, but you could see that these women really wanted change.
Yeah.
Eventually, with the ladies, I ended up, because I got the local MP involved, because I just felt like my case wasn't being investigated properly. They left out a lot of evidence and a lot of things like that.
And when you say investigated, did you mean the police? Like, what did you want the police to prosecute him?
Yeah.
You did?
Because under the law of coercive controlling behaviour, it is punishable up to 5 years.
Okay. And is that from what you learned and from what you knew, is that what you wanted, that you thought the charge should be? It should be.
I felt like the issue is, you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You've been doing it for a long time. You started when I was young. Mm-hmm. Not to mention, there's other incidences that I haven't spoken about. I don't really want to speak about on here because, like I said, I don't want to dehumanize him. I don't want to make him seem like he's such a horrible person. But there were things that happened that should not have happened.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's easy for us to understand from, myself watching like television programs, whether it's, your average soap, whatever, and you watch someone who can be like this, have this behaviour, and it doesn't mean that they're a monster all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, they can just be a normal person, but if this is the way that they do act, like even like a man who like is very jealous. Okay, there's a thin line between jealousy that is a little bit, do you know what I mean? And then a jealousy that is dangerous. Do you know what I mean? Do you see what I mean? So it doesn't mean people are bad people. So I do get what you're saying by saying that, but it is about what you are doing and how you are, do you know what I mean? Treating someone, and even whether he's doing it on purpose or not.
And that's
this
what it is.
Do you see what I mean?
I don't feel like he was doing it on purpose.
Okay.
I think it was behaviour that he just didn't. It's who he was. It was his personality. This is how, do you know what I mean? Because there are men that say they don't want their women to go out. There might be men that say they don't want their women to wear short skirts. If someone just does that the odd time, it doesn't sound like an issue. Like easily a girl would say, yeah, my man don't like me wearing short clothes. That wouldn't sound weird. At all.
Do you know what I mean? But if it's along with a lot of other stuff, do you know what I mean? Whether it's little subtle stuff, minor stuff, and if it goes on for a certain amount of time, the whole point, if you're in a relationship with someone, it shouldn't affect your mental health. That's, do you see what I mean? It shouldn't change the way you feel about yourself, the way you act. It shouldn't do that. Like, some women will choose not to wear short skirts because their man doesn't like it. That's not the same as someone, do you know what I mean, getting into your mind and really starting to make you think.
They don't even have to say it.
Yes, exactly. You just know, like you said, I'm just not going to wear that because this will lead to that and this will, and then when he's upset, this is how he treats me, and then this is what happens, and bloody blah. So it's what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, I think we're running out of time, so better wrap up. It was very interesting to hear your story. It really does make me reflect on, my own journey and think mine is a lot easier than other people's, and I don't have all this stuff going on, and you've dealt with a lot, learned a lot, grown a lot, and like I said, it's still quite recent because you mentioned COVID, which we are still going through. So I want to thank you for joining us today. Thank you for coming down, and thank you for being so open and sharing your story with our audience. And we hope that if there are any people in this situation out there, we hope that by hearing the story and hearing how well Karita is doing now as well, as I've said, that is my MO, you will do better. So Karita, just before we go, I know there was something that you wanted to tell us about to do with the Freedom Programme that you mentioned.
So the lady that facilitates the Freedom Programme, like I said, she was just amazing. She went above and beyond for us, and she's basically starting a charity called, well, it's a non-profit organisation. It's called Inspire to Rise. The whole point of it is not just to support through the abuse, but afterwards, what comes after with it, like having support groups, because we meet every Tuesday on Zoom, but we'd like to do it in person. Right now we're doing something called the Tough Mudder.
Yeah, I've heard of that race. It's difficult and dirty and hard. Okay, so you're going to do that to raise money?
Yeah, so we're going to do that to raise money for just the group in general and things that we want to achieve going forward.
Okay.
So if anyone does want to support us,
yeah, we will put the, if you got a GoFundMe?
Yeah.
Okay, we will put the GoFundMe details below. Guys, if you really would like to donate to the group, as you heard from Karita, it is an excellent group and it has really had a huge impact on her, and she possibly wouldn't be where she is now if it wasn't for the group. So if you would like to donate whatever you can to them doing their Tough Mudder, then you'll find the details below.